Right.
Good to
Well,
see you.
thank you so very much. Like I just want to briefly introduce you, or you can introduce yourself, but like, you know, you're definitely like one of my favorite designers on the, this whole wide world. And so I mean, do introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Julie, and I'm Julieknitsinparis, and I'm a French designer, even though no one has ever heard about me in France.
Well,
And I'm
at
basically,
least
yeah,
we've heard of you. That's all that counts, right?
I work in English, so I only deal with English-speaking people. So
Right,
that's why it's a bit difficult in France for me, but it's really good because I get to know lots of people all around the world. So that's what I like about this.
right,
And I'm very happy to be with you today because you have been one of my test knitters. And
right,
it's really great to actually get to speak with you when we have exchanged so many messages and we've never
right.
spoken in person.
That's
So
right.
it's fantastic.
I just like I wanted to basically the idea behind these fiber chats, right? It was to I feel like I have so many followers and nobody really knows each other. So I'm trying to do my
True.
part in building the sense of community, right? So the idea of fiber chats was to introduce some of my favorite fiber artists to the world from like, and it's really people from all over the world. Like I have, people from America, from Philippines, from India, from New Zealand. It's gonna be like all very exciting basically. But I'm so happy to have you here. And I wanted to start with going back to 2016. So
True.
2016 was a year, like a big year for you, right? Like you decided that you're gonna become a designer. Like how
Yeah, that's
did
my
that
first time.
decision, yeah, it was like the Cosmic Dandy trilogy. And talk a little bit about that year. Like what made you obviously needed before that, like what made you decide to, you know what, it's time to become a designer?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for doing this because the fiber chats are really interesting and I got to meet a few people thanks to you this week. So
Right,
thanks for doing this. That's a very good idea. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, so 2016 is the year when I released my first design. I designed for the first time. I had been a knitter until 2016, but not a designer at all. I had no idea that I would ever design. But 2016 is a year when I think I went to the first yarn festivals in my
oh
life
interesting.
in 2016. And going to the first festivals made me discover how the community was and how important it was to have so many people around you that actually understood what was important to you.
Right,
Like, I used to be a high school teacher, and in my high school, there were one or two ladies who used to knit. And it was kind of cool to be able to discuss knitting at breaks.
right,
But it was just a tiny little bit of my life. And actually, I wanted it to be more. And so in 2016, I started going to yarn festivals, and I was good friends with Amy at La Bien Amy,
mm-hmm.
and that's how I met Stephen West. So I went to, I think, two classes by Stephen in the same year. He was in Paris, and then he was at a festival in Paris, and I was asked to translate for him so he could meet his French fans.
Okay,
And the weekend I did this, I spent the whole weekend with Stephen West, and it was fantastic. And by the end of the weekend, he told me, well, Julie, you're such a good knitter, and you're so creative. How about, you know, designing? What do you think? Would you like that? And I was like, oh no, I wouldn't dare. 2 days after, I was trying my first design, doing my first things. And I think that's just him telling me, how about doing it? I'm sure I can do it. It just got me started. And I've never
right.
stopped because it was so fun to do.
Right. And I actually love that story just because we had a conversation in Knitters Gonna Knit when I was talking with David to celebrate the 1,000 members in the group, and
Well done.
he mentioned that you know, the accidental meetings sometimes change your life completely, and for him it was when we've met on Instagram, because like I also, like, he was knitting and I said, why won't you publish this, right? And then he like started thinking about it, and sometimes it's like we need that a little bit like push from the outside world to tell
Exactly.
us we can do it, you know, and
Yeah.
it makes us think like, why didn't I think I can do it actually, you know? So I'm glad Stephen West was your push. um, Talk a little bit about, so like you mentioned that I tested for you. So the day when you invited me to the Dream Team, and Dream Team is your team of testers, right? I think it was like the happiest day in my knitting career, so to say. Like seriously, I was just like, it was like unbelievable, right? And every time I knit one of your designs, so there's like few things, and I find it a little bit similar with Stephen West, because with each design, I learned something completely new. Like I learned new technique, I learned something I never heard of before, I learned some like, there's like always some interesting piece that I'm like, oh, like I didn't know that's how you do it, right? Um, Talk a little bit about the Dream Team and how you pick testers. How do you find testers? How did this community like grew to be like your fan base and like, you know, like your support team basically? Because I love those girls. They're all like wonderful, you know?
They're fantastic. They're fantastic girls. So yes, I have this dream team online. They're a group of ladies I met on Instagram, most of them. Some of them I met in real life before, but not all of them. Well,
Right.
obviously some of them, because one of them is my mom.
We're gonna come back
So
to your mom.
yeah, one of them's my mom. Two of them are very good friends of mine from Norway, Tuva and Lotte. Like the first time I ever went to a yarn festival was in Oslo, with Tuva and Lotte, and that was just, you know, it just rocked my world. So I can never thank them enough for having me for that festival and making it happen. Like it has really changed my life. Another of the ladies is Joy from Ireland, and I met
Right.
Joy in real life when I first visited the Woolen Festival.
Right, where we were supposed to meet right before the COVID started.
Yeah, so that was a great, you know, thing that happened, random meeting, and she's become so important to me.
Right.
Some of the ladies are from the US. There's Astrid from Germany, Rebecca's from Germany as well. So we've got people in Europe, people in the US. There's Kay in Korea as well.
Right.
So yeah, we kind of cover the whole world. Hi, Joy. Yeah.
So like
And
when
yeah,
you
wonderful.
when you yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just yeah.
No. So like I you know, so like this year, right? Um all the festivals got canceled. And basically like we were supposed to meet in Dublin in 2020. Like I had the tickets, I had hotel booked, like I was so excited to go. Wonder Hubby was supposed to be there, like it was
Yeah.
supposed to be this grand reunion, right? And then everything got canceled. Talk a little bit how it affected your life as a designer and as an instructor, teacher this year. Like how was it frustrating? Was like, did you find new opportunities with COVID? Like, did it make some other parts of your life more exciting? Just talk about it a little.
Um, well, it's been a difficult year. I mean, I'm known for my smile all the time, but yeah, it's been quite difficult. And I must say I was quite happy that I had a big collaboration going on with Camp Color Yarns.
Right,
So I was kept busy. I knew that I would have some money coming in because it's important as well.
right,
And I knew that somebody wanted me. because I must say, when you're a designer, I think that you kind of want people to like you. And
Well, I
so
think like everybody wants us
there's
to, like
nobody
people to
around
like
to
us.
tell you that you're wonderful. Thank you for being here. The kind of things that happen at festival and makes you feel that it's okay. You're here in this world for something, and it's going to be
Right,
okay. Well, it's really difficult to just live
right.
under these some circumstances. And so, yeah, so I must say, for a designer, this year has been difficult because you had to rely on your designs only and not at all on the teaching part of job.
Right.
So it's been weird. And also, the rest of the year, you kind of work on your own, and then, once a month or more than that, you meet people and you have fun with people, and you get all this excitement going on, and it kind of keeps you going.
Right.
And this year we didn't have that. So it's been difficult to just come up with new designs and keep being inspired all the time with just no new meetings, no new people, nothing happening in your life.
So then let's talk about your new collection, right? So that was super hush hush. Nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
And people were like, there were like rumors flying behind your back. Is Julie okay? Is everything good? Like, is something happening? Why is she so quiet, right? And then boom, and this like rainbow of colors came out, and everybody was like, wow. So talk about that collection.
I spent a long time working on it, and it's been really hard not letting a word out about it, because it was a new collection for a new brand of yarn. So I couldn't even show the yarn. I couldn't show anything because the yarn was not even supposed to exist.
Right.
So Camp Color Yarn is the sister company of Knits, and they contacted me a while back now, asking me if I wanted to be part of the new collection launch. And they had 3 color stories. One of them was high fidelity, so it's very classic colors, like there's black and beige, a little bit of red, but just very classic. Another color story is sweet tooth or sweet something, and it's pastel, it's really nice, very cute. And the third color story was called Rainbow is my favorite color, and they were like, we thought about you for this one, but we're not sure that's what you want, so if you want another color no. No, I want the
No,
rainbow.
that's my
Thank
favorite
you.
color.
That's
Right.
what I want. Good. I'm on the rainbow. Thank you.
Right.
So I just went for the rainbow, and they were fantastic to work with, because really the only assignment that I had was to use every color in the color collection. So there were 6 different colors. I could use natural and black as well. And there's a fun variegated colorway as well. And all I had to do was design at least one small thing and one large thing using every color. So it was just a fantastic assignment, and I just really had fun designing it. That was really fun.
No, that collection is like, I think it stopped the entire world of knitting, and everybody was just like in awe of it. Like everybody who saw it was just in shock and awe. It was just most beautiful thing ever. And your children were such fabulous models. Do they let's talk a little bit about family, right? So I'll come to my favorite person in your family in a second, but like,
I think I have an idea who that is.
but do your children support you? Do you feel like they like want to participate in it? Do they want to learn how to knit, or is it like permanent eye roll, or is it half and half? Yeah.
Not really. Well, my kids, so 2 of them are being models for the collection, and I have another child who is not a model in the collection. He's too young for that, so I kept him away from it. But all 3 of them are very supportive, although they're all teenagers.
Right.
So sometimes you get the, wow, mom, this is wonderful. And sometimes you get the, mom, you're the worst mom in the world. So they're just normal teenagers, but I think I'm quite lucky because on the whole, they're very supportive of me, and they like me having fun with all the colors. And what's quite funny is my oldest is now nearly 16, and I have some of his friends now following me on social media.
Right. Well, I actually
Which
like
is quite embarrassing for him, like,
right. My kids' friends all follow me, and it was all like my kids going to like in college and whatever. Like I had a bunch of them following me because my kids went and they were like, "Oh, you should look at my mom's Instagram." It was, it really feels nice to have that support, And
yeah,
I've
kind of
knitted for
really
like
fun.
every friend of my children, everybody they know, including like gym coaches and whoever, like whoever showed interest, I've made something for them.
It's really
So,
nice to have support. Yes.
well, talking of support, right? What what day did you wake up in the morning and decided it's time to teach my husband to knit? How did that happen?
Oh, now the question is, did I decide that I was going to teach him, or did he decide that he wanted me to teach him? I think it's
Okay,
the
so how
opposite.
was it?
Yeah, I think he wanted me to teach him because well, basically I was knitting all the time. Um, so there was a blessed time in my life when I was the only knitter in the household. He couldn't knit. So when dinner time was about to come, all the chores was his to do because I was knitting.
Right.
So I would be knitting and I would be telling him what to do. And he would do it because he was not knitting.
Well, and
And then
he's a
he
sweet
learned
guy.
to do it. Yeah, he kind of thought, this is kind of cool to make. And, oh, I like this pattern and I would like to try that. And do you think I could do that? And also, that was before COVID. And before COVID, his mother, my mother-in-law, was very often visiting us because she's on her own. And so she would visit us at the weekend. And she's a knitter as well.
Right.
So he would be the only one not knitting at the table when we were chatting. So he thought, no, I want to take part in this. So yeah, teach me and I'll do that. And so,
So
yeah,
was it like an easy process? Did he get it like right
it
away?
was very easy. He got it right away. The only problem we have that he's left-handed.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so I knit English style, and I taught
Mhm.
him to knit the way I knit. And I think maybe continental would have been easier for him being left-handed.
Right.
But I taught him English style, and then I think not much longer after that, my Norwegian friends visited, and Lotte tried to teach him to knit continental style, but it was too late already because he was
Right.
knitting English style and not quite ready to change techniques. So he's an English style knitter. But yeah, he made it, his thing. Like he had his own technique and it works perfectly well. So
Right.
yeah,
And so like I don't even remember, to be honest, if I found him first and through him
that's
I
what we were
found
talking
you.
about actually
Right.
today.
Right. I don't
I think
remember.
I
Like
think you
it was
found
like
him first
it
through
might
me.
have been. Right, because I mean, I'm obsessed with all the guy knitters, so I like basically, it's just like anytime I see men knit, I just have to follow them. But he had so much sass and so much character in every picture. And then I saw the link to you, and I was like, okay, like I just have to see who, this fabulous creature belongs to. And then I found you, you know. But then, like, he has this thing, and I noticed it about a lot of male knitters where it's this what can possibly go wrong attitude. And so when I offered him to join the Shetland Lace knit along for Asha, there was not a second hesitation. He was like, oh, sure, like I'd love that.
Yeah.
And he had zero problem with it. And then, of course, there was this famous naked photo shoot when, like, half
That
of
was
the group,
one.
half of the group died and half of the group was just like, standing ovation kind of thing. Um, do you ever, like, does he ever criticize you? Like when you do a design, does he come to it because he's a knitter now and tells you, no, 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 this is not gonna work? Like, is there any kind of funny interactions that way?
The only kind of thing he tells me is when I'm not sure what to, for example, the latest shawl design that I have made that is being tested right now. I wasn't sure whether I was going to go, whether it was going to be so easy from beginning to end, because it's a very easy pattern.
Right.
But he was like, oh, come on, people like it easy. Just make it easy. Just
one.
make it easy. Just stop trying to make it complicated. People are going to be happy. That's going to be a summer knit. People are going to just knit this, with a glass of wine, and they're going to be happy with it. Just don't make it complicated. Right. So yeah, that's the kind of interaction you have. Like, I want to make things complicated, and he's just like, oh no, keep it easy.
Does he ever steal your yarn, or do you ever go and look through his collection and pick something?
Maybe I pick stuff from his collection, but he doesn't pick from my collection, except for socks, perhaps. Yeah. I'm into very colorful and bright yarn, and he's into very rustic, natural, organic yarn.
Yeah.
So we have two very different views on yarn.
And then let's chit chat a little bit about your singing career in the knitting world. So, yeah, I mean, that's like one of my favorite things. Every time you post a video of you singing and dancing, and it's like, I just actually went on YouTube the other day when I was like thinking about what to ask you, and I watched you showing how to deal with the skein of yarn while exercising, with like a little dance and like how did you, like, do you have any dance background? Do you like, how did that
No, not at all. I'm just very silly. Well, that's all there is to it. I'm just super silly.
Right.
I'm a theater kid at heart, but I have no actual background.
Right. Do you find that, like when you did the first designs, right, is there something that, like, how did you find your fan base? How did you find your audience? Like, did you already have you been friends with all the knitters before that? And then when you announced your first patterns, people were just applauding and like ready to buy? Or was it difficult to start? Like, how did you build a name for yourself and became the celebrity that you are today?
Well, when I released my first design, I had a 5K following on Instagram. So not a huge following, but a little base to start with. And I had Stephen West's support as well for that one. Like he modeled my shawl. So that was very kind of him. He really helped. He was not the media monster he's today, but still he already had a great fan base, and he was very kind to me. So thank you, Stephen, for doing this for me.
If we can convince him to come to my Fiberchats, that's gonna be the ultimate high. So if you want to say a word for that, I would love to have him on. Does it work like often in the world of designers? Do you find like the designers in general have been supportive, like when you work with like in the fiber, in the like festivals, right? Let's say you're teaching. Do you find it's like very cuddly, warm community, or do you find a lot of competition and like backstabbing? How does it work?
Yeah, I know that people would probably like it to be a lot of backstabbing and
yeah, they want some drama.
Yeah, like wow. And actually, it's more a Care Bear kind of world, for real. Like, yes, it's an industry. Yes, it's a business. Yes, people have to make money and live out this money. But, especially, well, the designers have met. We were at the same festivals. So there was no real competition anyway, because we were already doing a job there, and we'd all been hired. So there was no competition, right? So I'm not sure what it would be like if we were actually in competition for a job or something. Maybe it would be different. Maybe there would be, you know, drama happening. But when I've met designers at festivals, it's always been very casual, and yeah, like they've all been supportive. And even, I mean, when you asked me the question, I just had in mind the example of one day I had an offer online, because you often get emails, you know, people asking you to do this or do that or whatever, take part in whatever collaboration. And I got an email from somebody I didn't know in the US asking me if I could collaborate on a book and la la la. So I wrote back, and they offered a certain amount of money for the design, and I wasn't sure. I was beginning in the industry. I wasn't sure whether it was okay or not, you know, to take part in a book deal.
Right.
And so I was following Bristol Ivy at the time, but I had never met her. But I knew she had just published her own book. I don't know which one it was, but, you know, one of her books, she just published it. And I thought, nah, I'm going to write to her and ask her what she thinks, you know, what kind of deal it is. And also I thought, yeah, I can't remember what it was, but I thought maybe she's in the same, you know, collaboration as well. So maybe she's been asked.
As well, yeah.
So I wrote to her, you know, DM'd her on Instagram asking her, well, there's this lady, she's contacted me offering for a deal for a book. What do you think? And like within 2 hours, maybe, I had a reply from her. I'd never met her before, had never DM'd her before. And she, you know, sent a very kind reply telling me, well, if I were you, I would do this or that. I would ask this or that. Like, she was very helpful. And I really appreciated that. And it's always been the same, you know, Justina Lorkowska as well, Lettuce Knits.
Yeah.
She's always been very supportive, very helpful. We have worked together on a book, and she was just, she was a great team player. And that was great to have her by my side. And indie dyers, I mean, other designers have always been helpful. Susan Somers, for example, as well, is a very good friend when we meet at festivals. I mean, we don't keep DMing each other, but when we meet, we're very happy to meet.
Right.
And indie dyers are just great people to work with as well. So it's just always great relationships with people. I mean, it's just, I always have fun working with new people. There's Mara putting in a few, yeah, I have fibers. Mara is from Germany. She's an indie dyer, and she's always been fantastic to me. She's always been like, tell me what yarn you need. I'm going to send you the yarn. If you do a design with it, it's okay. If you don't do a design, that's okay. And she's always been fantastic like that. So thank you.
Do you find that like as you're becoming more popular, more people want to collaborate with you? Do you and I know that you're trying to support some causes, like there were when we did the mountain hike haul, right? There was the yarn from specific dyers that you were trying to support their cause. Like, do you find it difficult to say no to people? Do you find that like you have your favorites and you feel bad when you don't do stuff with them?
Exactly. Yes. It's very hard to say no to people, but there's only 24 hours in a day, and yes, I have a few favorites that I work with regularly, and I'm very happy to work with them. So there are a few collaborations I say yes to. For example, Nomad News. Of course, I had to say yes to them because they support women in Nepal, you know, getting empowered and having jobs, and you know, just getting their lives back in a country where otherwise there would be no way for them to be independent. So of course I had to work with them. And then there are all the indie dyers that I've already worked with, and when they write to me saying, hi, planning a new design or something with us, I'm like, sure, just, yeah,
Right.
let's do it.
Right.
But yeah, and sometimes you have to say no, because of course, you know, you have your calendar and you're like, okay, so I have already 3 designs planned for this month. I can't. It's
Right.
gonna be super hard. So there's no way I can do more. So
Right.
yes, sometimes you have to say no, but it's really hard.
Another question I have, like, so when you first got the teaching gig, like the very first class, how did you even get it? Like, how do you enter the world of teaching at the festivals?
Okay. So again, I was super lucky. Like, I think there's a bit of luck in it because there are
Right.
so many designers out there, and I can see that. I mean, you know, sometimes like Instagram tells you, oh, this could be interesting for you, and you just, you know, scroll down, and there are so many things that I really like and designers who are really talented, and I've never heard of.
Right.
But because there's also all the marketing, I think, going with it. I mean, it's not only the designs, you have to, you know,
Right.
make it all public. But yes, so my first gig was the Oslo Knitting Festival. And this happened because I met my friend Lotte,
Yeah.
who was traveling. So I met her in Paris, and she came to me and introduced herself and said, well, I have a friend who's a yarn dyer, and she would like to know, you know, it was very primary school like my friend would like to know if we just want to do this with her. So like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, yeah, that could be fun.
Right.
So this is how I first agreed to work with Tuva from Norna Yarn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she sent me samples. I tried her yarn. I chose yarn, and the first Oslo Knitting Festival was coming up. And so we designed a shawl that she could feature on her in her booth for the first Oslo Knitting Festival. That was featuring her minis and a little bit of her, that was merino cashmere silk or something, or well, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so it was featuring her yarn. And so I started designing for her, and then she contacted me again, said, well, the Oslo Knitting Festival, they're doing an official magazine for the festival, and they are asking me if I know a designer who could design a free design for the magazine. So I said, well, what I can do is design a free hat to go with the shawl we're designing together. Sure, let's do that. Okay, so I designed the free hat. And a little bit later, the festival contacted me and said, well, there's a little bit of brioche in your thing. Don't you think that maybe could you teach brioche? Because if we have brioche in the official design, maybe, yeah, sure, I can teach brioche. And that's
Right.
how I got my first gig. Like, okay.
And can I just tell you one thing? So one day you posted that video where you knitted some brioche and then you just went boom, 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 unraveled half of it, and then you like went boom, boom, boom and fixed it. And seriously, the first time I decided to try brioche, I only knitted for like 6 months at that time. And I have a wonderful friend who I wanted to make something special. So I found that brioche scarf. It took me 18 times of knitting like 2/3 of the scarf and then just completely unraveling because I couldn't figure out how to fix the mistakes. Like I would
Oh
drop a
no.
stitch 18 times until I finally like got to the point when I was like, okay, I got it, right? So when I saw that video that you posted, it was like, dude, like if I knew that at that moment, right, I would have been like flying through it. So sometimes like you figure out the hard way, but it's like when you post videos like this, it's like it's just so empowering because you suddenly understand that it's not do or die and you can actually go back and fix some mistakes that you
Yeah.
made, you know. So it was wonderful, like, you know. And that's why I wanted to go to Dublin because I really wanted to take one of your classes. I didn't like at that point, you know what, I didn't even
It's
care
gonna
what
happen.
class.
It's gonna happen.
Definitely, like definitely. Um, I want to also ask about your biggest fan, who I tried to get her to spill some juice, some insider information, and she was like, "Girl, you're on your own. You have to figure out everything for yourself." Talk a little bit about your mom, like about the, like, you know, the importance of her and you, like obviously she's part of the dream team, she's testing your patterns and she's like so super proud. I mean the pride is just like you can sense it in the air. But like talk about like going back into your, was she the one who taught you how to knit? Is she now like in total awe of you? Like talk a little bit about her.
Well, actually, it was the other way around somehow, because I learned to knit when, I mean, the memory I have of it, maybe it's not even the real story, but the memory I have of learning how to knit was when I had chickenpox, and I was about 6, so I had to stay at my grandmother's for a week because I was not allowed to go to school with chickenpox. And so to keep me busy, she taught me how to knit,
Mm-hmm.
which was fun. So that's how I learned how to knit. Then I knit a tiny little bit, you know, that just awful teenage scarf. Um, I didn't even dare knit anything for myself, any kind of garment, just a few accessories, a baby knit or two, just, you know, tiny stuff. And then when I was pregnant with my first child, that's when I started knitting again. And when I started knitting again, my mom was like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of, yeah, I remember I used to like knitting, so maybe I could, you know, start again too." And of course, when I started designing, that's when my mom, you know, really got into it, and she, just to support me, she would knit
Right.
my designs to see, you know, if they were okay, to help me if there was any mistake in the pattern. She would test knit for me. She would be my first test knitter. My mom is now my tech editor.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Which can sound weird, like, "Oh, how cheap are you, Julie?" But no, no, my mom is a really good tech editor. I mean, she's worked a few patterns already, and she's really good at this because she really has an eagle eye for little mistakes. She does all the math again and again. Like, she's really good at doing this. She used to be a teacher. She's really good at correcting stuff.
Right. I told her I'm gonna ask about her, and she was like,
I love you, Mom.
but um, and I wanna ask you, so you have a few upcoming designs. Like, talk a little bit about your plans for this year. Like, we're coming out of COVID, you you having couple of like classes, right, going on, or like retreats or getaways. I saw something briefly, so it's like it's sort of coming back to life. Like tell us like what plans you have for this year, what hopes.
Huh. Well, only plan I have for sure, retreat-wise for now, is a retreat in Italy with a group of Finnish ladies. I think well, I've met maybe not most of them, but some of them when I taught at a retreat in Finland, not last year, like 2 or 3 years ago
Right.
now, because
It's
COVID
getting
is just
long,
like,
yeah.
oh my God, where did time go? But
Right.
yes, so I'm going to do a retreat with them at the very end of September in Italy, and that's going to be a great time, I'm sure. Other than that, I'm really waiting for festivals to just start going again. Like some of them have already asked designers about dates and stuff, but not all of them, because I think the whole industry is still a bit scared to plan
Right.
anything.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's going to take a little time to just get back to normal.
Right. Well, please, can you
Um,
do me a favor? Like the first thing you were being booked for, just like let me know and I'll book my
I
ticket and come and meet you.
I will.
Because I'm like really waiting for that day.
We did wooling together, actually. I'm sure this wooling gathering we were planning with that dream team, I'm sure it can happen.
Well, I'm really hoping for 2022
Yeah.
because I still have the voucher for the airline and my classes are still all booked and paid
See,
for. So I'm like,
perfect.
yeah, so I'm
So,
hoping to
yeah,
meet everybody from Dream Team there,
it's
you
a
know.
date. It's a date. Dream team, come on. We're doing this.
2022 June
Yes,
in
it's
Dublin.
happening. It's totally happening. Like, that's going
Well,
to be really good.
thank you so very much for meeting with me, and I'm so happy to like, you know, I feel like I know you forever and ever. I feel like I'm practically a part of your family. Like that's how I feel. But it's like it's so nice to like have this chat, you know.
It was very nice chatting with you, and it was our first time actually speaking together, but
Right,
it didn't seem like it was the first time. So yes,
right, right.
that
And
was
you
very
know,
nice.
send my love to Wonder Hubby, and you know, your mom
I will.
knows I love her. I'm her biggest fan. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, honey.
Bye bye.